Fall in love with a fraud. Chapter 1. Aren't you afraid of death? Should I undress myself first? Or do you want me to take off your clothes for you? Sutherland asked carefully while standing at the bathroom door with a bath towel wrapped around her. It was the first night of her marriage on this night. With a piece of black silk covering his eyes. The man who was sitting on the wheelchair would be her husband from now on. In fact, this was her first time meeting him. Pictures didn't do him justice at all, as he looked way better in person. His well-defined features, including his nose with a prominent bridge, thick dark eyebrows, as well as his tall and fine physique, all of it just screamed the heartthrob of her dreams. Unfortunately, he was a blind man sitting on a wheelchair. There was a saying that Wyatt Malcolm was born a bringer of bad luck. When he was 9 years old, both of his parents died. And when he was 13 years old, his sister passed away. As he became an adult, 3 of his fiancés had passed away one after another. Upon hearing the rumors, Summer was indeed a little frightened. But her uncle Andrew had said that if she would marry Wyatt, the Malcolm family would be willing to pay for her grandmother's hospital bills. For the sake of her grandmother, Eleanor Sutherland, she was willing to sacrifice herself. Seeing that the man didn't reply, Summer thought he didn't hear her. So she repeated once again. HMPH. Slowly taking off the black silk that was covering his eyes. The arrogant man darted a glance at her. Do you actually know who you are married to? Noticing the frosty glare from his eyes, Summer instinctively shrunk back. On second thought, she figured there was nothing to be afraid of, he was blind after all. But then again, how could a blind person have such an intense stare? Since Summer had never met anyone who was blind, she wasn't too sure. I do, she answered honestly to his question. With his thick eyebrows knitted together, he asked, Aren't you afraid of death? After he had taken off the black silk from his eyes, he appeared even more cold and arrogant. No, I am not afraid, Summer replied as she felt her heart hammering away in her chest. Gazing at him, she continued in an even more determined tone. I owe it to you since you have saved Granny. I'll surely keep my promise. Bear your children, and take care of you for the rest of your life. After observing her for a moment, Wyatt could tell that her face was filled with determination. A while later, he smirked. In that case, you can help bathe me. A moment of hesitation later, Summer replied, Sure. From the moment she had promised Mr. Wayne Malcolm to marry his grandson, Wyatt, she never thought of going back on her word. After they were done with their marriage registration, she would officially be his wife. Considering her husband was a disabled person, it should be her duty as a wife to help him take a shower. I'll get the water ready then, said Summer as her petite frame could be seen entering the bathroom. Gazing at her back, Wyatt's eyebrows furrowed heavily. Just in case, he had hired someone to do a background check on her. Surprisingly, this woman's background was as clean as a whistle. All for the sake of her grandmother's hospital fees. This country bumpkin was willing to marry him. A person with a reputation of bringing bad fortune to others. All 3 of his previous fiancées were well-known young ladies from the upper-class society who were born into well-off and reputable families of Blackburn City. However, one after another, they were all assassinated before their wedding. Hence, Wyatt wondered how someone as dim-witted and innocent as Summer could survive until now. Perhaps she looks too dumb. Which explains why they didn't even bother to lay a finger on her. Or maybe she is just putting on an act. While Wyatt was still absorbed in his thoughts, he heard the sound of the bathroom door opening. Lifting his gaze, his eyes glistened with a hint of shock, as a dainty woman slowly walked out from the bathroom, which was now filled with water vapor. Her ebony silky long hair was damp due to the steam, and there were even wisps of vapor lingering around her collarbone. By now, the bath towel that was wrapped tightly around her was drenched, which accentuated her slender body line. Give me a second, she said as she crouched down and pulled out a carrier bag under the bed. After that, she opened the suitcase and there was a range of lingerie neatly arranged on the top. Taking out a set of ivory lace lingerie, she tore the tag off and put it on. Assuming that Wyatt was unable to see her, she casually changed right in front of his eyes. Yet, all of her innocent acts had a different meaning to his eyes. He wondered whether she did that on purpose in order to test whether he was really blind. Once Summer was done changing herself, she walked toward Wyatt and pushed the wheelchair toward the bathroom door. Supporting Wyatt with one hand, she began to take off his clothes one by one after they were in the washroom. Through the mist, Wyatt squinted at her and noticed her unwavering clear eyes. With her head lowered, Summer was so focused on what she was doing that it was as though she was working on an assignment during class. Firstly, she took off his watch, then his shirt, which was followed by. In the end, there was the last piece of garment left. Flinching a little, she stammered, "See, can you still have that on during your bath?" While he was reading her expression, Wyatt had an evil smirk on his face. "With that on, I think you'll miss washing up some parts." "Well, I guess you're right." Tilting her head, Summer reached out her petite hands. With a darkened expression, Wyatt darted a frosty stare at her as his eyebrows drew together. Is this woman truly dumb? Or is she trying to play dumb? Does she have no sense of shame? This way to the tub. As though she wasn't bothered by the differences between their bodies, Summer supported Wyatt and helped him into the tub. Nonetheless, her face did turn a little scarlet. After he was in the tub, she patted her cheeks and tried to calm herself down. "You don't mind a little pain, right?" "No." Hearing that, Summer tucked her hair behind her ears and turned around to search for something from the cupboard. In the next second, she took out a piece of cloth that seemed quite coarse. A vein on Wyatt's forehead was pulsing as he thought. "On our first wedding night, she is going to give me a back scrub." Without asking for his opinion, Summer went straight to his back and started scrubbing. "Let me know if it hurts. I'll reduce the pressure." Wyatt was left completely speechless, while Summer worked in earnest. Before marrying Wyatt, she had been taking care of her ill grandma for some time. During bath time, her grandma enjoyed it very much whenever she gave her a back scrub, and she said it helped her to sleep better throughout the night. Similarly, Summer thought Wyatt would like it as much. Squatting down beside the bathtub, she scrubbed every inch of his body. Though she was scrubbing with all her strength, Wyatt only felt like she was tickling him. Then again, he could tell that she was really serious and diligent with her work, as sweat soon started to form on her forehead. Frowning, Wyatt began to doubt whether he had misunderstood her. What bad intentions could an innocent and silly little young lady like her hold up her sleeves? As soon as she had scrubbed all other parts of his body, Summer pointed at that specific region, and she asked with her face flushed, "Do you need me to wash you there as well?" "What do you think?" Wyatt questioned in return as he stared intensely at her. After pondering about it, Summer said, "I guess I might as well do it." With that, she took the cloth and went straight for it. Without warning, the man caught her by the hand and stopped her from moving any further. The atmosphere turned as silent as the grave. "How am I supposed to clean you up if you're holding my hand like that?" Summer asked, an innocent look on her face. Little did she know that it would have been an utter disaster if that piece of cloth was used to scrub its intended destination. "Get out," the man demanded in a frosty manner. Welcome to download Joyread app to read more chapters of Fall in Love with a Fraud novel online.